massive hit. Oh, they've clipped. Off. How he held on to that, I don't know. This is the biggest crash in RGL history. He's out of control and into the wall. Brace yourselves, this is going to be action-packed. Hi and welcome to the RGL Australia Forza Championships for 2013. We're up to round 5 of the development series and really looking forward to this. We're into starting to get to the higher levels, B class this round, and we have the Subaru WRX from 2008, and once again B class as mentioned, and starting original PI of 485. And the drivers only had a very little bit of room to move here, and some opting for drag tyres to reduce the PI to allow for other upgrades, and I believe that's proven probably the most potent of setups for many, and obviously this increases tyre wear, so it does add some interest to how well they manage that. Aspirations turbo, obviously all-wheel drive. So this one going to be a pretty close one, I believe, given the setups can't vary too much. Again, with that little bit of leeway, we're on Silverstone Racing Circuit, international layout. That's 3.62 kilometers. So still keeping most of the technical parts of the track. And the one to look for is turn 4, which is your hard braking right-hander before they head out onto the back straight, and of course the hairpin at the end of the back straight. Those two areas there are most likely going to be the cause for a drama. And looking at this series at the moment, it's going to be very interesting moving into A class the following round, and then into S class, start to speed things up. So we'll see whether these higher skilled drivers can still excel even further again, or whether it gives some of the other drivers a chance to catch up. We're looking at qualifying, and another cracker here, very close between Britley and Twisty Corners, and Alcimo just about knocking on the door of second spot, just missed out on a front row, and Ninja also qualifying pretty well. And overall we're starting to see some much closer qualifying results all round in tier 1 here. And looking towards the back of the field, and we have no recall posting no time. He was unable to qualify due to technical difficulties, and Catters has to start from the rear of the grid, again due to technical difficulties. Meanwhile, Rum Runner closes out the field with a 140, so a fair bit off the pace, but I believe he's a little bit faster than that. Obviously didn't get the fastest clean laps in. So we're about to get underway for the 5th race of the season, approaching midway through the championship, and at the moment once again it's a battle between the front two drivers on the grid, with Bratley and Twisty, all of them getting a pretty good jump off the start. Anyone using the drag tyres would have got a decent launch compared to others, and one of those would have been Scavenger, I believe. And look at these, one's gone a bit wide, couldn't tell who that was, might have been Pistol Fit. Meanwhile Bratley has managed to secure first place into the first chicane, and now they come into that hard right fourth corner I should say. And Twisty following Bratley very nicely through there, and Alcimo not too far behind. So at the moment Catters with his time, he would have been up in the top 3 or 4, and the defending champion starting to hit his straps a bit more. Now on board with Scavenger here, and this is the hairpin. It's a rather wide hairpin, but heavy braking, and I believe we've got Gundam 27 ahead, alongside his partner in crime, SR Ninja for HD Motorsport. In the right hand sweeper, get that wrong and you're out in the gravel trap. Ooh, very close on the brakes, putting a lot of pressure here on Gundam. Now following Twisty, we've got a bit of an ad campaign you might notice on some of these cars, say no to traction control. One of these guys want to race without any assists on. Of course, the ruling for the RGL Championships is that all assists are available, and really it's a matter of how much of a challenge drivers want to give themselves. But I believe predominantly most of the field do not use traction control. So Elsamo's starting to put a bit of pressure here on Twisty. And now on board with defending champ Catters, and he's just about made a pass on Relentless. Oh, a bit of contact. Fast slap by Elsamo and the 138s. So it's a very, very fast standing lap. And I believe Catters has Highboy just ahead of him. Yep, that's. And now back on board with our front runners, Bretley and Twisty Corners. Bretley just getting a bit of a gap here. And I think someone just went wide at that hairpin. I might get a replay. I think it went off. And I was in very close proximity to a couple of other cars. So as mentioned, just as the race began, we have Bretley and Twisty fighting it out in the DVS series here. Again, it's probably not quite as tight as the V8s, and there's not as large a gap from second to third, but nonetheless you only need a bit of contact there between Catters and I believe that's Highboy, otherwise it might be recoil. It's hard to tell from here. I believe that is recoil. So recoil's managed to jump a few spots. Catters, he's gone for late dive in the pit lane. He's going to score himself some penalty points there, crossing the blend line plain as day. So it was a very last minute split decision. He was obviously getting held up by recoil here. Oh, sorry, it is Highboy. Oh, my apologies. So he's getting a bit held up by Highboy and decided that pitting now would be the wise thing. There we go, Bretley straight into the 134s on the second lap. And Relentless all the way up onto the back of Highboy. He just sort of backs off a little bit as they head into this fourth turn. It is pretty heavy on brakes. And Relentless got the better run. He might be able to get a pass here going down the back straight. Look at him, he's powering through. He's got better exit. Oh, he's gone a bit wide, allowing probably too much room here, but he's still got the pace and he has got the right racing line here to defend the approach. Pistol Fit looking for a way into this as well. And Relentless just taking it nice and steady through there, not to overdo it, and he's Highboy's coming back at him, so now Highboy's got the better exit, but it looks like Relentless has closed that off, and they go through Pistol Fit, coming right up on the back of these two now as they scrap it. So we've got 11 laps for this race. We're on lap 3, plenty more to go. And this is actually the only round where an all-wheel drive car features, and the Leaf was the only front-wheel drive car, which was back in round 1 quite a while ago, and the rest I believe for this series are rear-wheel drive. And Elsamo now responding, so it's not just Bretley and Twisty putting out the fastest laps this time around. Elsamo has got a very good setup there. And a 134.532, only shaving a little bit off of Bretley's time, but nonetheless, it's a good lap, and that is why he's all over the back of Twisty Corners in his Subaru. And moving to the other Australian Precision Racing Team driver for Victoria, you're watching. And we've got a replay, so we'll just check this out now. So this is Gundam on board here. Oh, whoa, that is very close. Needles through thread. That was amazing. On board inside the car. Let's just have a look at this. And he's obviously overdone it, but Ninja's managed to pull up just enough to allow him through, and Gundam's picked the spot. So that could have ended in disaster, and he ends up in the gravel trap for that and loses probably one spot. Can't get closer than that. Lap 4, you're watching, ahead of Catters at the moment. After Catters pit. And the defending champ has really got the pace on you're watching at the moment. He's caught up a massive amount in just the last 2 or 3 corners. Let's have a look at the leaderboard. And our front three runners have not changed. Scavenger, who also qualified pretty well, has also gained 3 spots at the moment, so he's benefited from possibly a couple of mistakes that we saw with Gundam. And there's Relentless, Jake Mo, Highboy and Go Hard all moving up spots. Relentless a big mover there, and that'll be largely due to some pit stops that we can see now with Pistol Fit, Ninja, Gundam. You're watching Katters and Rico all pitting and dropping spots, most of them anyway. Pistol Fit still going 2 spots after pitting. So we'll see once the field cleanses. Could be as late as lap 10. We'll get a better look. And now these two are actually catching up to Jake Mo in a very simple red livery for this round. And generally speaking, although there has been quite a few pit stops, this whole back group has not spread out too much, so potentially some very quick racing, very good battles coming up as they all bunch up. Now Brettley really starting to get a bit more of a gap built. Not sure exactly what his setup is, but whatever he's done with it, he's done well, and it's serving the purpose. He's starting to pull away. Oh, that was a little bit wide, but he's managed to just stick it, so he didn't lose any grip on that side part of the track. It's always very slippery out there, so held that together. And Elsimo just not letting go of the back of Tristy here. So these sort of starting to become a bit of a thing here with these two front runners. The pace setters are starting to be challenged a bit more by different drivers depending on the cars. All Katters alongside, you're watching for the inside line. You're watching his he's managed to keep that, so obviously went for a slightly later break and managed to make that stick and force Katters to be a little bit less aggressive in his attempt to pass, but Katters just all over the back of him still. And just past halfway mark now in the race. And it's already actually starting to get some murmurs and rumours about drivers and teams for 2014. Is it too early to be worrying about that now? Who knows? But the rumblings have started. Our Katters now on the inside. He's going to get this one done. He's got too much speed up on. You're watching there, and now you're watching. Oh, looking for a very close, looking for a reply to that pass. Oh, contact, big hit, and touch again. Your watching's got damage. He's got smoke pouring out of that car, and he's going around that slowly. I think he's allowing Katters' spot back because he initiated the contact, but I don't know, looking at that, there was some pretty early braking. Now your watching's already pitted, lap 7, he's got 4 to go. And we saw this in Sunset Peninsula for the V8s where he got damaged. He went for the second pit stop, and I believe he came 3rd or 2nd last and lost a lot of time at that pit stop. So he had a chance to dive in there then. He hasn't, so perhaps he's hoping to keep a few spots by staying out. So here we are going in. Oh, that just looks very heavy, very sudden with the brakes by Katters. Not sure whether he overshot his line and panicked a bit, but yeah, there's not really much that your watching could have done when it came to that. Well, so your watching's got a bit of damage, no real harm done to Katters' car, and at the moment I believe your watching's already starting to drop away from Katters there, so unfortunate. And it seems to be that so many drivers in this series, that you've got so many that always not in trouble. They don't seem to find themselves on the bad side of things, and then there's others that continually get a little bit of bad luck here and there and makes big differences to their race. Now looking at the leaderboard, Elsimo has jumped up a spot. Twisty Corners just entering the pit lane, and Relentless gained a lot of spots there, but he's about to drop quite a few as he's entered the pit lane. And we see there No Recoil's managed to jump up a few on Queensland Rum Runner and Pistol Fit, so he's got a pretty fast car, just didn't start from the position he really wanted to. And at the moment you're watching, sitting in 12th, so there's 3 cars behind him and they are catching him fast. So on board now with Gundam for HD Motorsport, right behind Scavenger for Screwdrivers Racing. So having a little bit of a battle here. Jake Moe not too far behind, so Catters will be the next one in line there, followed by You Watching. A couple of laps ago it was You Watching and Catters chasing down Jake Moe. So Gundam's got a pretty good exit, but he still can't manage to get enough speed up to position himself for a pass. Scavenger again, one with the drag tyres. Oh, here we go. There's You Watching now. You see that damage, and his recoil fast approaching the APRT driver. He's trying to keep it as clean as he can, straight as he can, so that he can defend this position as best he can. Try and hold out Elsimo, a new fastest lap, getting very close to the even 134s. So that puts him in a pretty good position to possibly, maybe he'll get second. So you're watching. He's definitely opting to stay out. There's only 2 laps left. There's no point going into the pit lane now. Look at this. Recoil just flies past, and he's got the position now before the end of the straight. Although You're Watching, giving him a little bit of a tap from behind as he goes through. And now it's Highboy's turn to try and claim another scalp. Basically, You're Watching is a sitting duck. So we're heading to the business end of the race, and Bretley and Elsimo yet to pit, so we're going to see some action in the pit lane very soon. Here's Elsimo now, and into the pit lane he goes, so he's fighting his position for second place with Twisty Corners. Bretley's just got too much of a gap. Unless he makes a mistake, he will have this race in the bag. And this is Twisty Corners now coming around to the start-finish line. Now it's a very long pit lane. Elsimo coming towards the exit, and it's a very long exit. So this is going to be extremely close. There goes Bretley, so he'll be well and truly past Elsimo before he gets out of pit lane. Twisty just coming around turn 1 now. You see in the background, Elsimo's gone out the wrong pit exit, and he's sort of backed off a little bit there, and Twisty's gone through and maintained second spot. So Elsimo did have the speed there and the time to actually come out ahead of Twisty. That would have made for an interesting battle, that's for sure. But Elsimo looking to give him a little bit of space, and now Twisty's got a bit of a jump on him, and Jake Moe now all over the back of Gundam. So it seems to be a case of some drivers being very strong and at the start and a little bit weak towards the end, and maybe this is drag tyres being used on some of these cars, and the wear and tear is having its effect with grip. Jake Moe looking for an inside dive, but opting not to try that. A lot of pressure here on Gundam, and that's followed very close behind by Catters. So Catters slowly catching Jake Moe, but I don't think there's going to be enough laps left for him to catch either of these guys. And at the moment, Scavenger circling around in probably the best position he's been in for a while in the series, and he's potentially going to get one of his highest finishes so far this year. Now on board with Highboy, and he's managed to claim You Watching now, and next in line I believe that is Go Hard or Queensland Rum Run, I can't tell from here at the moment. But you're watching, as mentioned, just wounded car, cannot get the speed that he needs. He's dropping about 2.5 seconds a lap after that incident. And it's just amazing how quickly some of these drivers can catch you if that's the case. So Highboy recently getting a new sponsor in Mitre 10 and a bit of a change of colour to the Taztec vehicles. They do some pretty good paint jobs, these guys, and also with the HD Motorsport, I think those two really stand out for bringing their very similar liveries to every single car in this series. So, and also Screwdrivers as well, they're probably the three standouts, with given the detail that's in their design to bring them to these cars is pretty outstanding. And now on this final lap, Brettley cruising along to finish with another win, so this will help bring the gap down in the DBS series, making this potentially a very close championship as we head towards the end, with just another, we've passed the halfway mark now, 5 more rounds to go. Congratulations to Brettley. We'll check out these final standings, and Twisty and Elsmo not too far behind, so it wasn't a very big gap. And then Ninja a little bit further back, and there's Scavenger with a P5, so I believe that is his best finish so far this year, especially in the development series. And Cat is also sort of rectifying or improving on his qualifying. And looking at the standings, so it's only 61 points now between Brettley and Twisty, so this is getting pretty close, but a bit of a jump back to Elsmo, but he's fighting tooth and nail with You Watching and Recoil for 3rd spot before we have a decent gap back to Highboy in position 6 for Taztec Motorsport. And meanwhile, Relentless will struggle to get off the bottom here. He's appeared in this round, but he has missed some races. And a first look at our constructors title there, and pretty obvious there with APRT Vic leading the charge by a fair whack on Fear Racing. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you for round 6 in a few weeks time. Goodbye.